Welcome to Medieval Middle East. This is Irshad, and today we have a special guest with us, Dr. Ali Nazli. He's a Chief Executive Officer of Lifespin. On this auspicious occasion of Precision Med Expo, we would like to know some of the details about Lifespin. Can you provide an overview of your company and its mission?
Thank you very much for having me. Lifespin's mission is to make precision medicine accessible and affordable. It's very important because we have 8 billion people on this planet, and precision medicine tools, how it's being practiced today, is something very expensive, hard to access. So basically you get all these fancy tools. You can get it when you go to Stanford Hospital or to MGH in Boston, but that's pretty much it, right? I'm just to be extreme. But how about enabling the primary care physician on a community level to be able to prescribe and provide access to precision medicine tools, which is very important because then you can reduce hospitalization, you can reduce the healthcare cost burden. But in order to be able to do that, we need to have a scalable, cost-efficient system.
Cost-efficient system, that is a very important factor when it comes to precision medicine as well as the health sector. Because what I believe is today patients needs better care, along with that a cost-effective treatment, as you said. So in your opinion, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities in the industry right now?
Right now we are seeing a huge influx of new technologies, predominantly coming from the data science, machine learning, AI, which has a very fast pace of development, which I think is challenging the regulatory authorities, and they challenge the companies because the pace of the companies is much faster than the legislation can really do. Not only that, even the pace of the insurers is not as fast. For example, there are cases like companies like PR Therapeutics who have done everything right technically. They still didn't get the support from the insurance companies. So and that's why it's very important, I think, when you develop a new technology, to understand the implications, whom you have to win to gain on your side. It's not about getting the FDA or the IVDR. This is pretty straightforward because it just states that your technology should deliver what you promise, which I think should be given anyway. The more important question is, how can I convince the insurance companies to support my product, to support my solution? Because only then I can enable rapid propagation or mass adoption on the population level.
That's a very well point you made actually. When we speak about technology, we speak about innovations. Today we have a very less time, I guess. I mean, in terms of healthcare, it's a vast industry and people need a change as well. So what's your thought on it?
The healthcare system, how it has been established over the past 50 years, is not sustainable. Because when you look, the healthcare cost burden in the US is almost 20% of the GDP. That's an insane amount. And so healthcare, how it's being practiced today, is not sustainable also because of aging demographics. There are more and more elderly people. That means they need to go to the providers more often. At the same time, you have increasing rates of chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases, especially a huge issue in Asia or in the MENA region. So the question is, how can you tackle it, right? And that's the mega trend as a challenge. And now the question is, how can you respond to that? And how does it blend into Lifespin's mission? Basically, when you can place a technology which is highly scalable, it has an interesting cost structure. Interesting that you can say, I can enroll it on a population level and still have a cost benefit. That's the task. And that's something where we believe that we have the answer. Now it's basically about getting the right institutions on board, that they support the mass adoption.
So now coming on to the matter of fact that drug monitoring, especially in aspects of clinical, pharmaceutical and research settings, how does your company or Lifespin's metabolic profiling platform contribute to this field? And what are the potential impact do you anticipate it having?
That's actually one of our current programs in development. We are working right now on a panel for therapeutic drug monitoring
Okay.
especially drug monitoring tools for transplant patients or patients which are getting basically immunosuppressiva, antibiotics or antimycotics. They need a proper adjustment of the drug so that the body doesn't show too many side effects. How do we come into this equation? We capture small molecules in blood. Basically, what we do is we take a blood sample, we turn it into serum or plasma, and then we scan it with radio frequencies in a magnetic field, similar to an MRT. It takes a couple of minutes. What we obtain during this process is basically the quantitative information of hundreds of metabolites in the blood sample, including therapeutic drugs in a certain range of size and concentration. So basically, we on one hand capture the metabolic health status. In addition, we also capture the drugs which are being used for treatment. And we are right now developing, together with hospital partners, therapeutic drug monitoring panels. We are expecting to launch the first therapeutic drug monitoring panel in September.
Oh, great. So when you said about this platform, what were the challenges or obstacles you faced when you started to develop this? You are about to go to implement this. How can you address it?
What's interesting is healthcare compared to consumer care is very slow in adopting new technologies. So I worked at Sony and HP in the past, so if there's a new PlayStation out, people want to get it in no time. You cannot do the same thing in healthcare. Until to date, it takes one generation, 20 years, until a new technology becomes standard of care, which is an insane long amount of time. The question is, how can we accelerate it? You can accelerate it, that's something we are working on, that's my personal mission, to explain, inform the healthcare constituents about the benefits, about the functionality, how it works. It's very important to be transparent, that it's not a black box. People should be able to understand it, even children should be able to understand it. And then basically gain support from governments and insurance companies, depending on the payer system, to establish it. And trust is most important because people need to trust you, obviously. And in order to build trust, you need to be understandable. So basically, before I joined Lifespin, I explained my older son. He was at that time 11 years old, what Lifespin is doing. So I've asked him if he thinks it's a good idea or not. He liked it. So I decided to join Lifespin. And it's just an anecdote, but the point is it needs to be explainable. And very often digital health companies or AI-based companies remain very cryptic for the outside world. And this is not helpful. You need to be open and explain it in a way that people can really understand it.
That's a crucial point when it comes to healthcare sector. We cannot take chances, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, can you explain in layman's term how does your amino acid profiler, that is LAB, works and how it helps doctor understand the patient health?
Yeah. First, let's talk about vitamins. Everyone knows that vitamins are important, right? Even children know that. And people are used to go to pharmacies to get vitamin supplements, right? And the physicians check you for your vitamin D, for example, right? And that's well established. But no one speaks about amino acids, which is very interesting. Amino acids are as important as vitamins. For some reason, it's neglected. One of the reasons why it's neglected is because in a typical lab environment, it's difficult and expensive to get this information. That's why it's not standard of care. Now, with our method, where we are able to capture hundreds of metabolites at once, it comes as part of the package. That means we are able to offer it at a very interesting price for the market. Why now? Now we all have survived COVID. Fortunately, it's over. What's interesting is long COVID patients had shown abnormal levels of amino acids. Then there have been clinical studies conducted, mainly in the US, where the amino acid level has been observed as an indicator for recovery. Basically, the closer you get to the normal state of amino acid, the closer you are to your healthy well-being. And that's a very nice example because everyone knows unfortunately what COVID is. So people can also relate to long COVID. You can also replace long COVID by any other chronic condition. So basically people with chronic conditions or people who are basically having, let's say, diabetes or are under intense medication need to make sure that their body has basically all the nutrients they need. But it has not been practiced because the information per se to access it is too expensive with standard methods.
So how do you think you can make understand the doctors about the product you are developing or already developed?
Yeah.
And
That's why I'm here at this conference, basically to explain, to introduce, to explain, or to build connections with local health systems, to local physicians, because it's a new technology, the technology works, we have many benchmarking tests performed, so the technology works. Now it's about communicating it to the physicians, to the providers. And that's basically part of the market development. What people always underestimate is it takes as much effort to develop a market as it takes to develop a new product. Because many technologists, many engineers think it just, I build the box and then people will buy it. No, you also have to build the market.
what makes the lab different from other medical tools? Because there are lots of medical tools available in the market today. How do you think the lab is different from these markets, and especially when it comes to AI-driven technology?
In AI-driven technology, the beauty is that most of the work is being done in silico. For example, our workflow. You take a patient blood sample, you turn it into serum or plasma, you add phosphate buffer, you add an internal calibration standard, you insert it into the instrument, you scan it for a couple of minutes with radio frequencies and a magnetic field, and then you get digital spectral information, which includes the information of hundreds of metabolites quantitatively. That's it. So compared to, and then the rest basically is based on algorithms, which we have developed, which we are further developing, improving with our proprietary biobank. We have an in-house biobank. What's the fundamental difference to a standard lab? When you come to our lab, you don't see much, because you only need a centrifuge, automated pipetting system, and a sample loader. And that's the beauty of it. You don't need much labor. You don't need much chemical reagents except for phosphate buffer, which is very straightforward. That means because of the low complexity of the workflow, it's already having a cost benefit. The cost benefit is very important to make this technology accessible to as many people as possible.
That's very interesting. That's, I mean, it will change the course of our future advancements in the healthcare sector.
It can. I'm interested in finding the right go-to-market partners, health systems, corporate health systems, to basically get the mass adoption. That's very important.
That's great.
Right? So the technology works, but that's only one part of the equation. I think equally important, at least, is the market access and willingness of the market to adopt new technologies. And that's why when I visited this region for the first time, I got very excited how open-minded and how motivated people are to really take new technologies. That's something I haven't seen anywhere else. It's really unique.
That's also a great thing about the Middle East, actually. You said that you have a vast database of human blood samples. Can you explain the process of analyzing the blood samples and delivering the results to the healthcare providers, actually? So how does you ensure the accuracy and the data privacy throughout the process? That's a very important factor, basically.
It is. So first, speaking about our proprietary biobank. So we have built, since inception of the company, proprietary biobank with samples where we have full commercial rights. That means any insights we get, we own. That's why it's very important to build corporate assets, because only this enables us to build proprietary algorithms, which we then can sell as a medical device. But it's a software, it's not a physical piece, obviously. Now, how would we make it work? The beauty of it, when the diagnostics step is happening in silico, it can be anywhere, fully decentralized. So basically, you can consider having laboratory infrastructures here locally with local partners.
Okay.
They own the sample collection process, they own the sample logistics process, they basically own the instrumentation infrastructure, they capture the information, they upload the raw data onto our cloud, we analyze it with our algorithms, which just takes a couple of seconds, and report it back online. And that's the beauty of it. That means we just operate it as a software as a service. Just if you join a Zoom meeting, right, that's also software as a service. Now, one patient profile has a size of only 10 megabytes.
Okay.
You could even WhatsApp it.
That's
it's
great.
a small data packet, right? And that's the beauty, that we enable local partners. That means it's not a competition. We basically help local laboratories to take on new technology. They participate also on the margins, obviously, and they can use a new technology. And we constantly keep improving our algorithms. That means there are increasingly more products. For this year, we are planning 3 more product launches.
Great.
Now, you spoke about data privacy. Cybersecurity, for example, was a big topic in the early days of the cloud about 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Now, with so many well-established solutions, that the cybersecurity per se is already built in. When we speak about HIPAA compliance in the US or GDPR in Europe or the counterparts in the Middle East, this is a matter of execution. It's more like a check-the-box type of thing. I'm not concerned. Like we anonymize all our information. All patient data we have are fully anonymized. So we don't know who it is, we cannot trace it back, just to protect the identity. But we use the meta information to understand how do comorbidities or treatment plans impact health conditions.
If that is the case, then it will really help the doctors to come up
That's
with
the
speeding
objective.
the process. Yeah.
And so here is an anecdote. We had an individual who had odd lab results. It was really hard to understand for the physician, for his physicians, what he has. So he has sent his sample to us. Then we could nail it down to a couple of indications where we thought that's most likely indication A, B, C. Okay. Now, we didn't share the result with him because we don't have the regulatory approval for this yet. It works on a prototypic level, but then we gave this person the information to basically seek very specific physician consultation. Then it was confirmed from outside lab, the person got the treatment and recovered. That
Great.
means what we do is we help physicians to be more efficient, because what we do in our database is we collect physician experience. For example, in Germany, there are 200,000 physicians. Each physician has its own experience, right?
Yeah.
What if you collect all the experiences and gather it online? That's the omni-intelligence.
So that will basically help the physicians to rapidly understand
To be
what,
fast and better.
Yeah.
Which ultimately avoids wrong treatment. It saves money on drugs, on the wrong drugs,
Yeah.
and also helps to monitor the patient. If the
Exactly.
patient is taking the drugs, we can also see that, because non-adherence is a big issue in healthcare. And third, when you can reduce hospitalization, that's a very big deal. Sometimes one hospital stay costs $10,000 or more. If you can reduce this, very important for the cost for the healthcare system.
Yeah. It will be a win-win situation for even the patients and the doctors, and holistically everyone.
That's the idea.
Who is,
But then again, of course, we need the right go-to-market partners. That's why I'm on a mission this year to travel globally and find the best
That's great.
go-to-market
That's
partners.
great. Yeah, but I was about to ask, how would you collaborate with these healthcare providers, laboratory chain companies, and also other stakeholders in delivering your product, actually, basically?
Our model is basically to scale through enabling partners. So basically, our partners can sit in any country on this planet. We share the protocols, how to collect the patient sample, how to collect the data. What we sell are the software algorithms to perform the actual diagnostics. Now, we of course have to acknowledge the local regulatory authorities. So basically, we can operate some tests as an LDT in Germany, for example. So we have to find the corresponding counterparts on a legal level. But again, that's a matter of know-how of our local partners.
Exactly. That's great. And looking ahead, finally, what are your company's plan and aspiration for further advancements or innovations in this field?
Yeah. So we have built now a portfolio of algorithms in the fields of general health, inflammatory diseases, oncological and neurological diseases. Now turning these algorithms into medical device products, into software products in the next couple of years will be our mission, because when you have a new platform technology, you need to fill it with life. You cannot use it just for one or two different tests. You have to basically ideally offer it for many different use cases. Our big vision is basically to have a general health assessment tool, we call it Health Book, which basically can screen on a high level, are any risk indications for different conditions? If yes, you basically purchase another algorithm to dive deeper and then basically to tackle the disease down on the individual patient level.
That's really very fascinating advancements and innovation from your side of the company.
We're doing our best.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you for coming with us, joining us today in this event, and
Thank you
best
for
of
having
luck
me
for
here.
your future.
Thank you very much.